Today is Monday, August 2nd, and this is Jury Duty, a Big Brother podcast. My name is Kyle Petty, and I'm joined by John DUNPHY and Gina Morgino, and we are going to review all the events that have happened thus far in week 4. So we've got Christian, who just won Head of Household. Claire won our Wildcard Competition, and we're going to go over the nominations towards the end. But first thing, so who played Wildcard? We had Claire on the Queens, obviously, and then we had, who was it, Azah from the Jokers, and who rounded it out?
Whitney.
Yeah, okay. All right. Can we talk about Whitney? Actually, let's start talking about Whitney. Because I don't really understand why she has become such a target. Like, what exactly did she do?
So I know the answer for the men in the house is that she has been pretty vocal about, like, if once we get to final 2, there is a man and a woman in final 2, she is not going to vote for a man to win. She wants to see a woman win the season. So all of the men are really kind of itching to get her out pre-jury because they know that they're not going to have her vote.
Okay. All right. That's very fair. Did not know that. That did not show up in the edit.
No, it has not.
Okay. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, I'd say she has to go also. With that, I will also remove her female bay designation. I don't have a new one.
Yeah.
No, there isn't a new one.
I don't know why the women are particularly threatened by her game, because aside from like the first part of that HOH in the very first episode, she hasn't really won anything or like proven that she has a lot of weight in like what's going on game wise. But
no,
which is why I can understand why the men are looking to get her out pre-jury. But other than that, I don't really see why she is such a big threat.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we really saw, I don't want to jump ahead or anything here, but we really saw the Kings when they were discussing with Christian, like, what do we do? Who do we want to nominate? Who's the target? Who's not? Like, it seemed they were very, very split. Christian and Xavier seemed pretty set on Whitney being the target. And Sarah Beth, especially, was pushing the charge with Alyssa about Hannah. And I wonder if some of that has to do with, Xavier and Christian being so gung-ho about Whitney might have something to do with what we were just talking about with Whitney not, supporting a man in the final 2. And maybe that's why Sarah Beth, they don't see Whitney as such a threat. They're seeing Hannah more as a threat, so that would make sense.
There is a piece of Xavier, too, that, like, because the alternative is Hannah and he wants to protect the cookout, he is going to push a little bit harder for Whitney, but there definitely is the aspect of the jury vote too.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I just don't understand why everybody else is focusing so much on her. I don't really know like what she did. I am understanding the hype around Hannah though. Like, I'm starting to get that. You can just tell by the way she listens to conversations, like the look on her face, like she's really listening and she's thinking, and that's scary. Because we really haven't had a lot of people that have really infused a lot of thought in what they're doing. Everybody's kind of just been flying by the seat of their pants. So she's all right. I guess I'm gonna have to take back some of the negative things I said about Miss Hannah because I guess she's interesting.
I guess to me, I'm just a little confused as to why people see her as a target over some of the other people in the house. And like, obviously, none of the Kings were eligible to be nominated this week anyway, but I still think there are bigger targets to get out than someone like Hannah.
Like who?
I don't know. I mean, like we were talking about, I think it is kind of imperative that they start realizing how, they have been talking a little bit about jury management. We saw it in this episode, but they're still not really considering the emotional, bitter jury aspect that we were talking about in our last episode. And even people outside of the Kings, like everyone has been saying, yeah, we got to target the showmance, but most people are looking to get rid of Alyssa because Alyssa, we even saw it last night, seems to be a little bit more of like the brains of the operation, whereas Christian is mostly just like.
So she says. I mean, like, we don't really know.
I mean,
do we have any evidence that really says that? I mean, I'm not saying that Christian strikes me as like the brightest bulb.
And like that's the thing is like this is another aspect. This is another aspect that wasn't really seen in the episode necessarily, but it's like every person that spoke to Christian changed his mind. Like, he just didn't really, even like we saw it when Tiffany was like, all right, well, Christian, what do you think you want to do this week? And his answer was like, well, the 3 people that you talked about are the people that I was thinking of anyway. How weird. And she's like, no, but like, what is best for your game? And he was like, well, what's best for my game is what's best for everybody's game. And she was like, no. What do you want to do?
Yeah, okay.
And he like,
all right.
he couldn't answer the question. And then there were a lot of moments where he was in one-on-ones where like he could feel himself starting to get his mind changed and like not necessarily get manipulated by whoever he was speaking to, but like they would throw out points that he didn't necessarily know how to argue. And he would be like, oh, hold on. Should I just like go get Alyssa? I'll go get Alyssa. Like I'll bring her in here. Like it'll be fine. And it's like,
babe, that's not good. That's not good.
Not great. Like a comp beast for sure. Gonna be really hard to beat like competition wise, but not so much with the strategizing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that makes them an even more interesting duo to me too, because Christian's been racking up these comp wins, and then if Alyssa's in the background, working out the strategy, that's a very dangerous duo for sure.
It's very dangerous, especially if we have these women that want to get out men so badly.
Yeah.
It's just it's very surprising to me that no one is really talking about Christian as a threat. Because Alyssa sure is very smart and she's a very smart strategist and gamer, but have we really seen any evidence that she can win competitions to get in a place of power where she can use that? Not really. Whereas Christian has won almost every competition that he's played in. And he's going to be somebody that like, whoever is in his ear or not, he's going to be somebody who is more likely than not in a position of power or being able to win vetoes and pull himself off.
You know what? And maybe some of that is also because of the fact that nobody is seeing him do anything, make any decisions like for himself. So that they don't see him as a threat because all he does is just win competitions.
Yeah.
Not that I want to talk about my day like that.
I know. I literally wrote in my notes, Kyle, I'm sorry, because I knew that I had to say bad things.
It's like, you're doing great, but are you? Oh.
I personally am surprised that we're not seeing him throw more competitions to get the target off his back a little bit. Like, he's just been constantly win. And it's like, just, like, pretend maybe you're not so good at this one.
I don't
because
think
he's
he
not
even thinks of
smart.
that.
Maybe that's the issue.
I think he just goes, he's like, oh, I'm in a competition. I have to compete. I think that's probably what his mindset is. I don't think he even thinks that far ahead. It might be better if I don't win. I'm not sure he's thinking that way. But
like I was nervous about I was nervous about that with Derek X for a while too. I was like, like he's won 2 back-to-back vetoes. What's going to happen? But he immediately was like, now I have to start throwing competitions.
Right.
Like he had the foresight to be like, oh, this might not be the best thing for me.
Yeah.
So we have to get into next. We have to get into Claire's offer. Like that came with her offer of safety. Okay. Because that, honestly, to me, was like a non-negotiable. Like, obviously, we have to go to jury. We have to go to jury.
Not take that deal.
Right? Like, that it's too good. The only problem is that, like, I really feel like that on previous seasons, like, people would have been pissed. Like, going back to, what was that? Was that season 11? Was it 11? With like Shima and Lydia and them. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine what Lydia would have said if somebody decided to not give her safety like for that week? Like she would have blown her top. And it's like, at least everyone's sitting there is just like, all right, Claire. All right. Okay. Of course you want to go to jury. Of course you want to go to jury. And I was like,
and there is that
thank
kind
you
of
guys.
Like
thank
royal
you.
Flush vibe too, where like she knew her team was safe anyway. But
yes,
still,
and I said something similar. I said, listen, she'd be crazy to not take going to jury over keeping these people safe, because if Christian is going to be fair to this alliance, then like there was nothing to worry about anyway. So you take it, Claire. Take it, Claire.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were just talking, I think, in our last episode about how we're probably only two evictions away from jury, right?
Mm-hmm,
but that even if it is only 2 weeks, and if Claire felt like she was safe because Christian was on the block this week, you don't know what is going to happen next week.
It doesn't even matter. So, absolutely, you take that. It doesn't matter what's going on.
Right. So what is the point of keeping you and your teammates, who you all know that you're all safe already this week? What's the point of just doing that when you know that you are good now? You're good till jury. You're on the show all summer now.
All summer. Your summer's booked.
Yeah. Definitely the right decision.
Good for her. Good for her. We like Claire.
Yeah, we know these Astoria streets aren't going to be seeing her for a couple more months, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Sads for us, but good for her. So obviously Christian put up Whitney and Hannah. How do we feel about that? Uh-oh.
It's interesting. I don't know.
I can't decide if it was the right move or not.
Okay. All right. I have a couple of comments on this, but my comments are really only that, like, I'm happy to see Hannah on there. I am. I'm happy. I'm not as happy as if I would have seen like Azza. I told you I really wanted to see people from the cookout up there. I wanted that very badly, and unfortunately,
Azza was potentially kind of digging her own grave there a little bit too. Because when we didn't see it on the edit again, it's so annoying that like some of the really good stuff is like only on the feeds. But when they were doing their one-on-ones, there was a moment where Christian was talking to Azza about like, all right, well, I'm gonna, now start doing like in these one-on-ones, asking if you were HOH, who would you want to put up? Because I want to get like a nice view of who the targets in the house are.
Yes,
so know, like,
tell us about this.
And he asked Azza, all right, so if you were HOH, who are the people that you would target? And she said, honestly, I would have put you up. I would have come for you. Which is a dangerous thing to say to the current HOH.
Yeah, why would she say that? I mean, at least she's honest.
Oh, yeah, but
she's honest.
That's what she was going around to, like, well, I was the only one that was honest and told him that I'd put him up. And everyone was like, yeah, but nominations haven't happened yet, idiot. Why would you do that?
Gosh, yeah, why would you do that?
So, obviously we don't know what is going to happen with the veto yet, but her name has been thrown around as a potential renom just straight up because she told him, look, I'm going to come for you.
Wow.
Well, good. I want to see Azza on the block so bad. I'm so tired of her. And I really want to see Derek F up there also. That's really what I'm waiting for. I really wanted to see some Jokers. I wanted to see anyone from the Jokers up on the block.
Right.
That was a big part of Hannah's pitch too.
Yeah, no.
Because Hannah's whole pitch was like, look, the whole house wants Whitney out, so no one's really going to be pissed if you put her up. But if you put up me or Derek, like, that's a new enemy that you're making when the Jokers are already mad at you and coming for you. So why wouldn't you just continue to put up the people that you already know aren't on your side rather than make new enemies with me?
Right. No, it makes sense. No, there isn't a single Joker that I would have been upset about. Not a single one.
I don't know how likely it's going to be that we're going to see Derek F touch the block anytime soon, though, just because,
I know.
What's the likelihood that he's going to win anything and come for anybody? He is kind of just like coasting along at this point.
I know. He's just floating along. It just sucks. I hate him so much. I didn't like him to begin with, but after he ruined the blind side for us on Thursday, he's
forever on my list. I'm not.
Yeah, there's just no coming back from that. We were already on really shaky ground, and now it's like.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, because we see so many of these conversations between all these teams, and I thought it was interesting as Christian is meeting. We had our royal flush meeting minus Derek, who was all the kings and queens, I believe. But they were doing separate team meetings with the HOH, and I thought it was interesting that for a while there, it seemed like Christian and Xavier were going hard on making Whitney the target, and Sarah Beth and Alyssa were talking about making Hannah the target, and then Christian has this conversation with the Jokers, and they tell him, we want to see Whitney go, and that made him actually say, you know what, maybe I do want Hannah as my target. That was interesting to me too. And Xavier, you could tell, was great. Now I'm by myself. Now my whole team wants Hannah out.
Poor Xavier. Xavier doesn't know what to do in all of this. That poor man just sits there and he doesn't know what to do with himself. I feel for him because he's in such a precarious situation because you don't want to tip off your team that you're kind of riding with these other people, but at the same time you want to ride with this team because they're playing the best games collectively at this moment. Yeah, what a tricky situation for him. Ugh.
Another thing that I'm not really getting from these nominations, though, just to piggyback on what you just said, I understand the whole concept of, well, Whitney is the house target, so why are we going to do everybody else's work for them? Somebody else can target Whitney, and we can target Hannah now. That makes sense to me. But what doesn't make sense, and what I haven't really seen a ton of people talking about, is if Whitney is the house target, and you're putting Whitney on the block, why do you think you have the numbers to get Hannah out this week? Like, if you're planning on targeting Hannah, you need to be putting her up against one of the Jokers or against Derek or against somebody else. If Whitney is on the block and you know Whitney is the house target, why do you think that the house is going to now vote to evict somebody else?
Right.
You know?
Great insight.
Yeah.
Like, it just, it doesn't make sense.
That's fair. That's fair. No, it doesn't make any sense. Unless that's also like the side message that like, maybe we really don't want Hannah out, which is putting Hannah up like to appease these other people, to appease the other people on the team. Maybe we really do want Whitney out.
Yeah. No, I get that,
maybe
but
it's not
like, I feel
error.
like a lot of the people that were really like riding for Hannah, like your Sarah Beth or Alyssa, like they were still talking about putting Whitney up, but Whitney would be the pawn. And it's like that. I don't see the. I don't know.
That is odd. That's odd.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
Because Hannah's not going to go home. Like she's not.
In that situation, you should be putting up Azah or Brittany or somebody like that you think that like maybe you could have a chance of like swaying the house to vote with you. But if the house's target is on the block, the house's target's going home.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. If these stay the nominations, and like I don't see Hannah going anywhere.
Right.
No, because obviously the cookout is going to. Wouldn't that be interesting too? Because Christian and Alyssa would absolutely be expecting. Okay, you know what? Kind of getting into this. I'm kind of getting into this because they're definitely going to be expecting Whitney to go. I mean, Hannah to go. But if she doesn't, then there's going to be all this chatter about like, well, what the hell? And then we're going to get to watch all of that like confusion, that awkwardness unfold live because we've got our first endurance comp. Okay, how freaking perfect. That's awesome. I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it now.
That was a big part of Xavier's stress too, is like, I don't want Hannah to see the block because if Hannah somehow becomes the target, I have to show my cards and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's get into it. I hope it stays that way. Or honestly, no, I don't. I want to see Whitney come off. And I want to see Derek F. or Azah, or I want to see a Joker up there because I'd even take Brittany. But I definitely think it'd be delicious if we saw a situation where the cookout has to choose between Hannah or Azah. Okay. Very yummy. Or Hannah and anyone else. Oh, what fun. And what would Azah do, who is Brittany and Hannah? Oh, what deliciousness to come. Oh, we need for this to stay. I'm into it now. At first, I thought it was kind of like a whack week. I was like, Bay kind of let me down. But I don't know now. This has the makings of something delicious.
See, that's the thing, because I kind of agree with you, Kyle, that like you kind of felt like this was the first week where there was no real one target that I was like, I want this person gone.
Yeah,
so
I was like,
it kind of felt like maybe this will be sort of like a down week. But then when you think back to all the 4 different teams, all the alliances, all the connections that people have in all these different ways, like it's impossible for this to not be interesting because it's just everything is so twisted and entangled. And this could, I mean, I'm wondering if what you were saying, this could be like the first time we really see a big fracture in the house. Like everybody's had their own little sides but gotten along, but this could potentially, if what you were just sort of describing with the cookout sort of taking over and saying, no, Hannah's not going, even though, the aces might think the kings might think that she is, this could really change things up. It's very interesting.
Yes, I said this. I'm so happy you said that because I said this last night, and when I was talking about this with Thomas, and I said, listen, depending on who goes home, this could cause this to be very, very interesting. Like if a member from the cookout goes home, I feel like that will give a little bit more validation to the royal flush. Whereas if somebody from the royal flush goes home inadvertently, or if somebody else goes home, these next 2 or 3 weeks are going to get really good, because people are going to have to choose whether or not we're doing royal flush or we're doing the cookout. And right now everybody's able to just be like, but in a little bit, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. And like
the other thing that's really
it could be this HOH that starts that. Yeah.
What's really exciting about this HOH to me is that like the people in the house don't realize that most likely teams are gone after this week. So
and they
like,
have to realize that, because these are people who watched the show before. Like they're us. They're us.
I haven't
Like,
heard a ton of people saying it though. Like people are like, you know, kind of saying, oh, maybe like teams are going to be ending soon, but no one thinks that like this is the end of it. And what we've been seeing on feeds a lot this week is there's been a lot of cracks in some of the teams where like the only reason that you've been safe so far is because you happen to be on my team. But once my HOH and my safety does no longer impact your safety, we're going to start to see a little mess.
Yeah. It's going to get really good. Ooh. It's going to get really, really good. And
it's already starting to. I'm getting
excited. This is why teams should be a part of every single season, like no questions asked. Because again, it separates them easy, and like they have no knowledge of each other whatsoever. Like you're just like forced into it, and I think that's the way that it should always go for this reason. No, it's got to be over after this week.
Well, this was the final wild card comp,
maybe
right?
Maybe not, because they did say that other little caveat. Because I was going to say it should be over because we're going to get to a point where now people are going to be playing more than once. But they did say that you can't play more than once unless everyone on your team has played before. So we don't actually know.
Julie did say, I believe, that this is the last wild card, the one we just saw.
She said that. Oh, she did, huh?
And especially now that we're going into like an endurance comp, I'm pretty sure they're gonna. I don't know if they're gonna tell them right off the bat, but like I'm pretty sure that this is the teams dissolving, which is going to make this endurance comp so much more exciting, because now people that maybe thought they could coast on their team are going to realize that they kind of have to rely on themselves.
Yeah, they're actually going to have to like do something. Yeah, because they can't just
and there's there's a couple of people that are looking like they've been kind of coasting a little bit that are gonna kind of have to win themselves safety this week.
Whitney.
Sarah Beth.
Yes, Sarah Beth, but I'm sorry. I stand Sarah Beth. I know I have not spoken on this much. I love
Sarah Beth, but Sarah Beth's name has been dropped a lot this week.
But the reason why her name would be dropped is because she has won something, okay? And she's not an idiot. And that's why her name is. I wouldn't say she's a floater. I feel like she's been very active. I'm not necessarily
saying a floater. I'm just saying like she has been safe for so long because she happens to be on the team that has earned safety so many times. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
But like,
I thought you were saying she should be a target because she's been floating. Like, I thought you were trying to draw a comparison to Whitney, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I go there.
She is becoming a large target because she is no longer able to rely on other people to keep her safe. Like people are starting to clock. People are starting to clock how close she is with Kyland, and that he's probably going to be more loyal to her than he is to his other alliances. People are starting to notice how hard she's really trying to get rid of Hannah, even though the rest of her team doesn't necessarily want that to happen. So she's kind of looking out for herself more than the interest of her team. Like Tiffany's been dropping her name a ton in the last couple of days.
Yum.
That's what I was thinking too, because she has won something. She's definitely smart, and this week especially, I feel like we've seen her. She's being very vocal, so like she's definitely standing out in the house. As not just like it's interesting. Well, we'll see.
She could potentially be in a lot of trouble this week, but in her defense, if it does end up being a wall comp, people who are shorter, of a more petite stature, tend to do better just in the physics of those competitions. So it's gonna. It does benefit her to have a wall endurance comp.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh man. For a week that I thought was going to end up as a flopper, I'll tell you, I can't wait. Yum. All right, so looking to the week ahead, obviously we're playing Veto on Wednesday. I know it's already been played, but we're going to chat about it later. And then on Thursday, obviously, we'll be able to stay up to see our new HOH and see what that looks like. Wildcard is over, so all bets are off. Catch us live directly after the episode. We're going to be watching the endurance comp on the feeds and chatting about the veto competition and everything else that happened. So join us on Thursday. Can't wait to see you. This has been Jury Duty. Yeah, it's cute. Good, now I can just stop it.